Hello and welcome back to my Formula 1 2020 Fantasy Prediction season. My name is Alex does F1 Stuff and today we are My name is Alex does F1 Stuff and today we are covering round number 7 at Canada. There we go, that time round I got it. So for those who are interested in watching this series from round number 1 in Australia, go ahead. Watch the playlist. I will pop a card in the corner to that playlist as well as link it in the description down below as well. So the whole idea of this series is basically to predict what would happen in the current Formula 1 2020 season, as it's not going on due to the old Rona. If you want to go and see how I work out each of my custom tables that I have created with a lot of maths, there is a maths video which again I'll link in a card in the corner and in the description down below. And finally, before we get started, there is a behind the scenes video, a making of, essentially from a blank Excel sheet to the finished video that you are currently watching now. Again, I'll link that as a card in the corner and down in the description down below. So without further ado, let's get straight on in to practice for the Canadian Grand Prix. So practice 1 sees Bottas again on top by 0.4 of a second from Verstappen and a further 0.6 to teammate Hamilton. 1.2 seconds back is Perez in the racing point with Ricciardo a tenth behind him. Then comes Leclerc, Sainz, Raikkonen, Magnussen and Vettel in the Ferrari who round off the top 10. Ocon and Stroll both move forward from last year to 11th and 12th respectively, with Giovinazzi, Gasly, Grosjean and Norris behind, separated by 1.5 tenths overall, with Russell and Latifi sandwiching the two Alfa Romeo cars at the back of the grid. However, practice 2 is more of a jumbled mess, with Bottas again P1 but Perez now second, a strong finish from the racing point. Leclerc and Verstappen are next with Ricciardo 5th for Renault, with Sainz less than a tenth back. Vettel can only manage 7th with Stroll, Magnussen and Hamilton completing the top 10. Ocon has Gasly in the Red Bull for company with Raikkonen, Kvyat and Grosjean within a tenth of each other. Norris, Albon, Russell, Giovinazzi and finally Latifi round off the field for practice 2. And the final practice session before qualifying sees Max Verstappen nab top spot by 0.02 of a second from Bottas, with Hamilton in 5th sandwiching the two Ferraris in 3rd and 4th. Perez is just 0.03 behind the Brit, with Gasly squidged between the two Renaults in 8th place. Sainz, Kvyat and Magnussen are within a tenth of each other for 10th place, while Norris has bumped himself up to 13th in front of the two Alfa Romeo cars. Albon, Russell, Grosjean and Latifi round off the time setters, with Stroll failing to set one. So we move from practice, which again has been dominated by the Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas, into qualifying. Can he nab his 7th pole position in a row, or can anybody stop him? So Q1 sees the usual suspect make it through, with Bottas leading Verstappen, Ricciardo, Leclerc, Perez, Hamilton and Vettel. Sainz and Ocon post the exact same time, with the Spaniards setting his first for 8th place. Just inside Q1 are Stroll, Kvyat and Gasly, while he has the Alfa Romeos form an alternating quartet, the first of the weekend, with Raikkonen just being knocked out by 0.02 of a second, with Norris, Albon and the two Williams are also out in Q1. So Q2 shows the strength of the Renault in Quali, with Ricciardo 3rd in front of Hamilton. Gasly, Leclerc and Perez make it through, with Vettel setting the same time as the Mexican. Sainz and Ocon are the last to make it into Q3, separated by 11 thousandths of a second, with Magnussen, Kvyat, Stroll, Grosjean and Giovinazzi all out in Q2. So here we go, Q3, can anybody knock Bottas's qualifying form? No they can't, he takes his 7th pole position in a row, but Ricciardo in the Renault had a mega performance, making it onto the front row of the grid, half a tenth down from the Finn. Hamilton is 3rd with a Ferrari and Red Bull alternating quartet, with Vettel and Verstappen in front of Leclerc and Gasly. Ocon is P8 with Perez and Sainz rounding off the top 10 for qualifying. So looking now at the starting grid, Bottas leaps up 5 places from last year, with other big gainers being Perez and Magnussen, with Norris being the biggest loser, losing out 9 places from last year. And once again, just before we move into the race, if you can hear anything in the background that isn't the music, that sounds like a hairdryer, I apologise, that is my computer. It sometimes doesn't like recording. I never have anything else open when I record, nothing else is ever plugged into it. it just sometimes likes to have a bit of a day. But anyway, as we move on into the race weekend, I've also changed the dates as well. The dates didn't quite make any sense at all, but I've now made the dates the weekends that I released them, the Sunday that I released them, so hopefully that now makes a bit more sense. But anyway, we move on into the race day for Canada. Last year in the official Formula 1 World Championship, we saw the controversy with Vettel and Hamilton. What will happen this year with my fantasy prediction? Let's take a look. It is Mercedes who take their second 1-2 finish of the year, with Ocon in the Renault having an incredible race from P8 on the grid to finish on the podium for the first time in his career. Leclerc and Gasly overturns their bad qualifying behind their teammates to finish ahead in the race, with Raikkonen coming from P16 to 8th place. Ricciardo though had another shocker of a race, starting P2 on the grid to 9th at the flag, scoring just 2 points whilst his teammate enjoys the champagne. Perez picks up the last point in 10th, 6 seconds clear of the two McLarens, with Norris outracing Sainz for the 4th time this year. Stroll is 13th with Grosjean and Kvyat behind. Russell is 16th, having an average race for Williams, with Albon and Magnussen the last of the race finishers, with the randomly chosen non-finishers being Giovinazzi in the Alfa Romeo and Latifi in the Williams. So as well as taking a 1-2 finish in the race, Mercedes bag the extra point available for the fastest lap, with Bottas 1.3 seconds clear of Verstappen, meaning they take home the full 44 points available. But as we take a look at what that has done to the championships now, Hamilton has taken his second win of the season to match Bottas and Verstappen, with Ocon lower down the field scoring 5 times his current point tally in just one race. As for the shuffling though, Ocon leaps himself up to 17th from 11th as Gasly clears Vettel and the two AlphaTauri cars drop further down the field. But Verstappen's lead is now coming down to just 14 points, with Hamilton 23 points behind the Dutchman too. Leclerc is in a small void in 4th place with margins either side of him, and the same goes for Gasly and Vettel together. Stroll still heads the midfield with 23 points, covering his 7th place to Russell's 18th, whilst Ricciardo and Latifi complete the grid at the bottom of the field. But it is Mercedes who take well over double the points of everybody else in the constructors on 44 to Red Bull and Ferrari's 18, Renault 17, Alfa Romeo's 4, and Racing Point's solitary 1. As for shuffling in the Constructors' Championship, it is all done at the bottom, with one Alfa car clearing the other and the Renault retaking 9th place from Williams. And it is still Mercedes that now lead by 26 points, the largest points gap of the year so far, with Ferrari 39 behind Red Bull, and a huge 86 point gap now separates Racing Point from the top 3, whilst 26 points covers the 5 teams below them, and 40 to the rest of the field down to Williams. And there we go, the end of my fantasy prediction video for Canada. What an incredible race we had there, with Ocon managing to squeeze himself onto the podium for the first time for Renault, their first podium since God knows what, like 2009, 2010, perhaps a good old time, definitely their first for the hybrid era. Other notable performances, who else was up there? Raikkonen coming from P16 all the way up to 8th as well, that was fairly strong from the Alfa Romeo car, but Ricciardo again having zero luck in the races. But that is all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you have all enjoyed that video, and I will catch you in the next one with whatever I decide to make. I'll see you then.